Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, Totally Katika. I am Katika, of course. So what I wanted to share today is I'm going to be a little vulnerable with you guys, and I've completed several interviews with amazing moms, and I just never really shared some of my story. So here I am. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm back, guys. But first, I wanted to shout out Thrifty Mick for giving me these amazing earrings. I don't know where she got them from, but I love them. So thank you, Thrifty Mick. Amazing earrings, and you can shop on her website. She always have amazing clothes too. Okay, so here I am. I wanted to share my ectopic pregnancy last year, October. Actually, today's the 30th of October, and it is tomorrow, the 31st, will be a year that I found out that I was pregnant last year. So it all started out where my husband and I were trying to have another baby. You know, we first had a miscarriage in 2019, and I'll talk about that as well. Probably another video may talk about that now. Then 2020 we had our son. In 2019 we found out that I was pregnant, and it was something was just wrong. And let's start there first, and then I'll probably share about the first miscarriage in another video. We'll see how long this video is. So in 2019, I probably need to start with my first miscarriage. So in 2019, I found out that I was pregnant. I didn't realize that I was pregnant. I just remember having these symptoms and eating a lot. It was just gaining weight, but I never thought anything of it at all. Because when I took the first pregnancy test, it came back and said it was negative. So I was just like, okay. I was just having weird cravings like soda, which is something I normally don't drink a lot of. I was drinking a lot of sodas. I wanted something salty, like everything had to be very salty. So a few days later, I took another pregnancy test and it came back positive. So I went to my doctor and they did a test, of course, confirmed that I was pregnant. Went to a couple first ultrasound and kind of told them some of the things that I was, had going on. And I was gaining weight so quickly. They was like, oh yes, you're pregnant. I was like, great. So I went in for my ultrasound and they were like, there's twins running in your family. I was like, yeah, we have a couple twins. It was like, because, we were found in multiple sacs. I was just like, oh, okay, I do have a set of twin cousins. And then they were like, oh, we think we found a third. I was just like, I don't know about three, but I'll take it if that's what the good Lord want to bless us with. And I remember saying, okay. So then I started to dress, and I had to put on bigger clothes because I was gaining weight so quickly. I was wondering what was going on. But when they told me we were expecting multiples, I was like, well, that makes sense. And I only could fit in dresses because I had to switch to dresses. Like none of my clothes will fit within a month. It was just a mess. So I went in for my next ultrasound, and they did a vaginal ultrasound, and then they realized that I guess one of the sac, it was the baby, the heartbeat, wasn't there. And they did some measurement. It was like everything is not looking or transitioning, or the baby is progressing the way they should, or the one that was remaining should. So they had me coming in pretty much on a weekly basis. As well, doing blood work and just doing ultrasound. And the next ultrasound, I realized the heartbeat was not where it should be. And I remember going back in for the next ultrasound, and the heartbeat was no longer there. And it was really hard. I've had a lot of horrible moments in life or just not such a great experience, and that would be one of them, because never in my mind I thought I would have experienced a miscarriage or the loss of a child, or knowing that I was expecting multiple babies and not being able to carry them full term. So for that miscarriage, I remember doctors giving me medication to, wait and let it pass over the weekend, and if not, we'll see what will be next. And I just remember being in so much pain, and I just could not take it anymore because it would not pass through. And so I scheduled to have a D&C completed to remove the babies. And I remember them giving me the medication I needed before, and taking it. And the only thing I remember from there is just going in, them telling me I'll be okay. My husband was there. They, I guess, did what they needed to do, and I just woke up. I remember being in a wheelchair and being rolled down the hallway. That's all I remember from that day, and being on medication. But also remember just being in so much hurt, pain, anger, guilt, frustration, blame. Those were just some of the feelings I felt. And I was blaming myself, because I'm like, if I didn't drink all that soda, if I had to work done to see what will help, what might have been the cause of it. I think they had hypertension or something kind of missed with it, and increase in salt and things of that nature. And I was blaming myself. Well, maybe if I wasn't drinking so many sodas and all the salt that I was intaking. And I was depressed for several months. I went back to work, and I was using, I took some leave and was trying to process and deal with that grief and loss and hurt and all the emotions that I was dealing with. And I remember just blaming myself and being in this place of depression and trying to make sense out of it, trying to understand, and just trying to ask God, why? And it was frustrating, because I was super excited. Most of us are. I never thought that we will have to deal with a loss or a miscarriage. And then my body, it took me some while, and it took me a while and therapists to kind of really heal from that space where I was in. And I'm thankful, now I'm in a better place emotionally. And after that, thankfully in 2020, I was able to conceive a healthy baby boy. Now pregnancy is a whole nother video, because it was a journey. But I am so thankful that we were able to have another baby after. And we wanted to have another baby so they'll be close in age and have each other interact with. And as you know, I have a 13-year-old. Oh, shoot. She's 14. She'll be 15 soon. And, she's like the only child. And we kind of wanted another one to be closer, so he doesn't have that same experience of the only child and no one to play with. So after that pregnancy and that miscarriage, my point for telling that story is because my body was never the same after. Every cycle, monthly, it always felt like I was pregnant, but I was never pregnant at all. So even when I was pregnant with my son, I really didn't even pay attention to it, because I kind of gave up, honestly, in trying to get pregnant, because it was like, it's not happening. And my body would always feel like I'm pregnant, but I'm not. And I used to buy all these pregnancy tests and take them, and it's all negative. So forward to 2021, which is last year. I found out in October, I had my period, but then it stopped and then it started again. So I didn't really pay any attention to it. So I was just like, it was late for a few days. I bled, and then it was short, but then I just kind of blew it off and kept going. And then a few days, and I remember being in pain. I was telling my husband, like, I have this pain for the past 2 days, but I don't know what it is on my right side. And he was just like, well, if it doesn't go away, you're going to go to the doctor the next day. I said, okay, whatever. So then like the next day, here comes day 3. We usually give ourselves 3 days before, I give myself 3 days before I go to the doctor. And I have a reason for that, but that's a whole different story. That's because the loss of my grandmother and her not going to the hospital in time so I don't pass 3 days. And I remember saying, let me just take a pregnancy test. So I just went, I had a lot, so I didn't have to go to the store. I went in my drawer, pulled one out, took it, and it said yes. But it was like yes instantly, like just like that. And I was just like, that was quick. So I was excited. I told my husband and told my daughter, you know, who was all excited and everything. And then, but I was like, I'm still having this pain. So I called my primary care doctor to schedule an appointment, but I was just like, hey, I had an appointment to come in, but I was like, my test came back that I'm pregnant, so I'm just gonna call my OB instead. So I called and I went in to see him, and they verified that yes, I was pregnant. And I was like, great. So I was like, yay, we're having another baby. And so he did an ultrasound because based on the history before, he wanted to make sure everything was fine. And he was like, okay, we're pregnant, but maybe in the early stage, but you know, it just doesn't look like it's in the uterus. So he was like, let me do an HCG test, and you know, just to test the level. And that will help determine if it's a pregnancy or if it's going accordingly as well in the levels. And I remember the first one he did, he was like, not sure. And I went back to the second one. And he said, when I get the result, I'm gonna call you to come into the hospital like that Monday when he'll be there. But I'll give you an update like Sunday, he'll call me. He called me Monday because I was still in pain. He called me Saturday instead of Sunday. Was it this Saturday? Yeah. He called me Saturday instead of Sunday. And he was just like, I need you to go to the hospital and see if you can, they'll do the additional blood work for you. And do an ultrasound just to make sure it is, because he doesn't think it's placed in the uterus. He feel like it's in my tube. So I went to ultrasound, went to the hospital, because by now I woke up and I was in pain that day. And I went to the hospital. And I sat in the emergency room like I couldn't move at first. And they did an ultrasound and they confirmed that I did have an ectopic pregnancy. It was in my right fallopian tube. And, you know, they kind of had me there monitoring me and everything. And the doctor was like, well, I don't want to do the surgery because we don't think the surgery is really necessary in your case. So we're going to give you that you can take the methotrexate and it will help to slow down the reproduction of the cells. And then that way it will pretty much kind of pass and you'll be fine. And that will terminate the pregnancy. I was like, okay, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, give me this methotrexate, you know, so we'll go ahead and move on with it. I know some of the side effects with the hair loss, which I kind of spoke about before, and like the vomiting and things like that. Because it is what they use it for chemotherapy, I believe, or for cancer treatment. And I remember taking it and then going home. Guys, I wish I never took it. I wish I went for the surgery instead. I got home and I was in so much freaking pain. I was in the hospital the next day, right? I was in so much pain where I could not move. I was vomiting. I was in like crippling pain in a fetal position. Thank God my mother-in-law was here and she's a retired nurse. So she knew some of the side effects of the methotrexate. So she was here helping me, and she was just like, no, she has to go back into the hospital. I'm in pain. I could not move. They were like, can you, I was like balled up, guys. Like I couldn't even move no part of my body. That's how much it was hurting for me to move. I was crying. And I remember my husband like bringing me downstairs like this and bringing me back to the hospital, you know, pretty much rushing me in. And they were like, I'm like, I can't move. So I got there, they giving me pain medicine and doing all this blood work and all this other stuff. And then come to find out, everything kind of subsided a little bit. And then my primary doctor was not there. So the doctor that was on call came in. The other doctor was like, oh no, you're fine. I was just like, no, I just don't feel like something is wrong. And I was telling the doctor like, it still hurts. So she was just like, okay, let me just touch your stomach and just tell me if it hurts or whatever. So when she touched it, she was like, I was like, ow, like it hurts. This was after all the pain medicine and everything else kicked in. And she was just like, that's not normal. That should not be happening. I need to go in and make sure that everything is fine, because I want to make sure that your tube didn't rupture. They did all the work, came back. My tube, it was ruptured, which was what they was trying to prevent by me getting the methotrexate to slow down the reproduction of the cell, the baby growing, so it doesn't rupture my tube. It didn't happen. So I took that methotrexate and had to deal with all the negative side effects of it, just for what they were preventing to happen, still happen, because I listened to the other doctor. That was not my primary doctor. So anyways, that doctor, she was just like, so at this time, let me back up a little bit. My husband, my daughter, and my son were sitting in the car waiting on me, because I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna go home. It's gonna be fine. They were like, oh, you're not leaving. We're gonna have to do surgery on you today, like in the next few hours. So we're gonna prep you for surgery. I was just like, but so I had to call my husband and be like, hey, I'm not leaving. They're getting ready to do surgery within the next few hours, so I may not be out until tomorrow morning. So I was like, y'all could go ahead home or whatever. And I remember them just coming in, doing all the prep work, all the stuff I needed to do. And I just remember them wheeling me to the bag. I saw like 2 or 3 doctors who was going to be there. None of these were my primary doctor, which I was kind of disappointed with as well. But I remember them being there and then telling me what's going to happen. The next thing I remember was waking up in my room and somebody asking me if I was okay. This is the first time I've ever done any surgery. And the only videos I remember doing before that was trying to say where my ring was, because I had my ring on me and I didn't want to go in surgery with my ring. I didn't want anyone to take it off as well. Because yeah, I'm not gonna talk about my ring, but yes, for that reason, I had to like record where it was and all this type of stuff hidden and all this other type of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I woke up, and this is my first time ever doing any major surgery, any surgery at all in my life. And I woke up, I felt okay. And I remember just, them telling me to take it easy and so forth. And I remember having to heal from that. This time around, I dealt with this ectopic pregnancy a lot better. And that's also because of my faith and my relationship with God. While I was there, I was not nervous when they told me I had to do this surgery. This was, again, my first time. I felt a peace. I felt a comfort. And I'm thankful for that. I didn't blame myself this time. So some of the feelings I had when I had my miscarriage were slightly different. And, I realized in the past couple of days, like fast forward, and I never really grieved the loss of that child either. I think I was so comforted by the fact that I was still alive. Because when I was there, a lady was saying that you were pretty much bleeding inside, and she was like, I had the same issue and they had to do surgery on me, and they was telling me if I didn't come to the hospital, I would have pretty much passed away. So for that, I am just so grateful for life that I think I spent so much time focusing on that. And, just overall, I just know that there are other women out there who have dealt with the loss, whether it's a miscarriage, whether it's an ectopic pregnancy, whether it's just infertility issues, just trying to conceive. And it's not easy, and it is stressful. It is, can be depressing at times. Those are true feelings, and it's okay, because those are real feelings that we need to talk about, that we need to embrace, that we do need to discuss. And I wanted to be vulnerable and share my story and just encourage someone as well, knowing that you're not alone. There are a lot of us women out there that are dealing with it. And I'll be the first one to tell you, like, oh yeah, it's never going to be me. I'm going to have these kids, I'm going to get pregnant, have these kids, and life is going to be great. We just never thought about, I never thought about the fact that I can have a miscarriage. I never thought about the fact that no one really thinks about that anyway, right? But at the end of the day, I think the goal is to just be encouraged, and just know that you're not alone. There are other women out there, and just reach out, talk to someone, be honest about how you're feeling as well. And there's always light at the end of the tunnel, right? Those were some sucky, I don't even know the word, if that's even a word, but some painful moments that I had to endure, some not so good times, whether it was the pain from the ectopic pregnancy, whether it's the emotional, the physical, the mental, all those different pains. But it really allowed me to also appreciate my 2 kids that I currently have. So I'm just so grateful for them as well. I'm grateful for all the support that I have all around. So again, you're not alone. Reach out, speak to someone. I do go to therapy and talk about those losses, so that was really helpful. I've gotten better with exercising and eating healthier, so that's also helpful as well. So find something that works for you that's going to help you deal with that. But don't just hide it or don't just push it aside because it's not going to go away. Talk about it with someone. Let someone know how you're feeling. Alright guys, I'm going to be really weird, but I did want to share and add this as well, because I did have some scars from the surgery. So let me show you guys what it looks like. I'm going to show you all my branding for my kids too. So this is my stomach. This will be my right side where they did one of the incision. See all my stretch marks branding from these kids. The other one is right here. The other one is in my belly button. Can't really see it that well, but it's in there. So those were the 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's where they went in to remove my right tube. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. Yeah. So my right tube was removed, so I was left with just the one left tube. And they told me I could still have, but that's an update on that. But so yeah, I got my scars. One side is smoother than the other. The other side is a little lumpy, so I guess maybe the scar tissue didn't really heal that well, but it's something to always remember, I guess. But I'm thankful for life. Until next time, love on yourself and love on your babies. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.